listen to 10 Minutes with. Today we're fortunate enough to have Mr. Billy Strings.
Thanks.
Billy the Kid, the young gun. I mean, you're everywhere nowadays, man. Is it hectic or?
Yeah, you could say that. It is. We got a really crazy schedule, and it's beautiful. We're playing a lot of gigs, running around the country playing for a lot of people. It's very hectic. I don't get home very much, but
Is it tough, or is like when you dreamed about like playing and you're like, and it's a lot of work? Or what's it like, you know, when you actually get out there and you're just?
yeah, it's a lot of work, and but I love what I do, and this is what I've always wanted to do. So
Right.
it's really good, man. It's just a grind, you know.
Nice.
But it's a grind that I'm okay to do, you know.
Right. You're built for it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about like where you grew up and where you're from. And you know, you're a Michigan boy.
Yeah. I grew up in Ionia, Michigan, which is just, you know, about 25 minutes from Grand Rapids or so.
Yeah, my pops lives in Lansing.
Oh, really?
I graduated high school from the UP.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Man, I was born in Lansing.
Oh,
and
yeah?
That's where my family's from, you know, like
That's where
my
my
mom.
dad was born too.
Yeah.
Lansing. Nice, a good spot. Great Lakes Rock.
Oh,
Summers are
man.
good.
That's one thing. Yeah, I live in Nashville now, and I've lived there for about 3 or 4 years, and I miss Lake Michigan like a motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like an ocean out there. Let's go back to the beginning and talk about like your first memory of music.
Man. Yeah, my dad is a player, you know, so he was always playing when I was little and playing around the house and playing records and stuff like that. So I mean, it goes back to before I can remember. It's a really crazy thing, you know. My family's always had music involved, and like I said, my dad's a player, and my grandpa played, and my mom loves music, and she's a big music freak, and so it's
Family
just
affair.
it's always been it's like water and oxygen, you know.
Right.
Around my house growing up, it was just like,
Natural.
yeah, man, it's just a way of life, you know.
Heck yeah. I seen this thing you recently did with Marcus King.
Yeah.
That guy is insane. What was that like, hanging with him and playing with him?
It was like meeting a long lost brother or something, you know. We're like, which is weird because everybody sort of said that before we even met. It's like, man, y'all are kindred spirits.
Was that when you
Yeah.
first met?
Yeah, well, we did a gig at Rooster Walk, and we met, you know, and my friend, the promoter, Johnny Buck, he put it all together, and so it's like, he's like, man, you never played with Marcus? And I'm like, no, and so he's like, all right, we're going to do it at the festival. So he set it all up, and we got together 4 hours before the show, and was like, hey, man, Marcus, I'm Billy. Nice to meet you. And we just started rehearsing right there. We had Jeff Sipe on drums. Royal Massat was playing bass, and it was just cool. Like, you know, I met the guy, and then 4 hours later, we were on stage, baby.
That's cool.
And then, like, you know, we kind of become friends since then.
Sure.
And, you know, we hang out time to time. He just moved to Nashville as well, and so,
Perfect.
yeah, man, and I love that guy, man. I just really do, you know?
Soulful blues. Yeah, he's really, really good. Well, he's always busy like you. I mean, you see him everywhere, Europe, everywhere.
I know,
It's
dude.
insane.
They play a lot of gigs. I
Yeah.
can't believe, you know? And then he would say the same thing to me, like, you know, recently we did a thing, and I mentioned that to him. I was like, man, you guys are, do you ever slow down?
Right.
And he was like, man, I was just going to say the same thing to you, you know? Like,
The same kind
and
of
it's
deal.
so, yeah, I mean, he's one of the other cats that's out there doing like 200 gigs a year,
The young
you know,
guy
like,
too, you know, like he's.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
man, and what a brilliant player, and he's got a deep respect for the music, you know, and you can
Right.
just tell by the way he plays it that it's respectful,
Right,
and
seems
it's,
like
man,
an old soul. For
absolutely,
a young guy.
yeah,
So the name Billy Strings, because that's not your birth name, right?
right.
Is it
William Apostle.
William Apostle? Yeah. So how'd that come about? I mean, it makes sense. The
It's a
strings,
nickname. It's a nickname.
Yeah.
My Aunt Mondi gave it to me when I was little. You know, I told you my dad was a player.
Right.
So when I was little, I'd be sitting on the cooler next to my dad, playing music all night long with everybody. All the adults would be partying and stuff, you know. And
Right.
and my Aunt Mondi just one night said, "Oh, look at little Billy Strings," you know, trying to hang out,
That's cool.
play with all the adults and stuff. And so that was a nickname that I had, you know, of several. It's hard to think with fucking green sky in the background.
Green sky.
Assholes.
Fucking green sky. Foffman.
just starting out, like playing gigs around Traverse City and stuff, and I was really doing open mic nights.
Right.
I worked at a hotel, and music was still very much like something that I did at home in my bedroom, and I never thought it would be a job or anything.
Right.
And so, you know, eventually I was starting to go out and play like Doc Watson tunes at open mic nights and stuff like that.
Nice.
And at that time, Mondi was dying of cancer.
Your aunt.
Who gave me the nickname. And so when I went up there and started playing those open mic nights, she had just passed away, and kind of in her honor and almost as a little joke, or just, you know, I wrote my name as Billy Strings on the whiteboard.
Open mic.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then it stuck.
Nice.
And it just stuck.
Yeah, it's fitting because you're a shredder. I mean, yeah, tell us about your band, man.
Yeah, you know, I kind of got it together when I was about 3 years ago when I moved to Nashville or whatever. 3 or 4 years ago, I moved down there, and I met Billy Failing. He's the first guy I met, and he's the banjo player.
Right.
He's originally from Portland, Oregon. Great player, great dude, and he's been with me the longest. You know, he's been with me at least I think 3 years or something, and then on bass, Royal Massat. He comes from Texas, but he lives in Nashville as well now. And I met him at a Fish concert. Yeah, which was crazy, you know. And I was kind of high, and Fish was playing really crazy, and then
Deacon or what?
yeah, it was just like a really good night, and you know they were doing some tweezer or something, and I just remember this guy coming up to me and was like, "Hey man, I'm Royal." And somebody had told me about him, like, man, if you're ever looking for a bass player, this is your guy.
Nice.
And yeah, it was just like a weird moment where it was like, yeah, like nice to meet you or whatever, and it was just sort of awkward, I guess, you know. But I totally met him, you know. And that was the show where Bob Weir came out and sang. And then the last fella to come along is Jared Walker, and he's from Florida. Him and his brother. Him and his brothers kind of, man, they ruled that bluegrass scene down there in Florida, Tampa area, you know.
Down there,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
But they owned that shit, and he's one of the best mandolin players I've ever heard, and so we're really honored and lucky to have him out on board. And he's a great dude, and yeah, the band has really came together and just having a good time.
Yeah, we're excited, for you guys to rock the main stage tonight, Winter Wonder Grass.
Why don't you ask Anders a question? Anders.
I've taught young Billy Strings a lot of things. The most important thing I taught you was what?
That when you go to a breakfast place and you're all hungover or whatever, I wouldn't be hungover, of course, because I'm smart, but Anders would be totally smashed. And when he goes in there hungover and they're not serving breakfast anymore, what do? You get the BLT, baby.